The Trump administration's federal fund freeze blocked by judge, causing widespread confusion.
Continue crusade on wokeness and on the far left. So today we woke up in Wednesday, June 28th, January 28th, and we found out that he put a federal freeze on funds. Let's see what that was all about.
Administration announced a sweeping freeze on all federal grants, funds already approved by Congress. Chief Washington correspondent John Carl is tracking Trump's executive action. John, the administration says this is just a temporary pause, but it could have major consequences.
George, look, there is a lot of confusion this morning about what exactly this directive means, but it may be the most far-reaching executive action this White House has taken yet. It could potentially halt hundreds of billions of dollars in federal spending on everything from assistance to farmers, to Head Start programs, to disaster relief and public transportation.
So to Head Start, farmers relief, and other programs associated and well known for getting federal funds in the hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars.
In a memo describing this, it was obtained by ABC News, the White House Budget Office has ordered all federal agencies to cease any financial assistance if they believe the program might conflict with President Trump's executive orders. The directive is not specific about which programs would have to be suspended, but it's clearly far-reaching. It says, quote, this memorandum requires federal agencies to identify and review all federal financial assistance programs and supporting activities consistent with the president's policies and requirements. The only thing explicitly not included in this is Medicare and Social Security and anything directly given to individuals. But George, this is far-reaching. The Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer responded, one of many responding overnight, saying, Congress approved these investments. They are not optional. They are the law. And you described it as a pause, George. It's important to point out this memo does not say how long the pause will last.
Yeah, I think it's much to do about nothing. I think he's well within reason to review what it is that's going on exactly. The fact that there may be a pause in some programs remains to be seen. What exactly that means and which programs exactly it's going to be. But as usual, people are out the gate pumped full of anxiety and ready to promote false narratives.
There's nothing specifying when the pause is over.
Right, as you say, this could be have such sweeping impact, and also comes on top of a big shakeup at the Justice Department.
Yeah, that's right. The Trump administration has fired over a dozen career prosecutors in the Justice Department's national security and criminal divisions. These are people who were involved in any way in the cases against Donald Trump. These officials received an email from the acting attorney general on Monday telling them, in part, given your significant role in prosecuting the president, I do not believe that the leadership of the department can trust you in implementing the president's agenda faithfully. Those fired, George, include some of the Justice Department's most senior prosecutors. These are individuals who have served in Republican and Democratic administrations.
It also comes on top of action taken against some AID, foreign assistance professionals. And we learned about an executive order the president signed Monday.
Now, that happens a lot, right? They're always firing people who don't promote their agenda. So that's not necessarily new. Seems to me they might be sensationalizing that a little bit. But that's normal to fire anyone who has opposing ideas and positions of authority.
That could set in motion a ban on transgender troops.
Yeah, this builds on a previous order he had done last week. It seems to pave the way to pushing openly transgender people out of the military, mirroring the order he signed on transgender last week. But this goes further, allowing the Pentagon to possibly bar transgender people if they identify as a gender other than the one assigned at birth. It states
no transgenders in the military. What do you think? Yay or nay? Is that a win or a loss? Personally, I don't want transgenders in my military, but that's just me. Maybe you think different. Carrying on.
It's expressing a false gender identity divergent from an individual's sex cannot satisfy the rigorous standards necessary for the military service. So yes, it looks like it is paving the way for a total ban.
Struggling with complicated.
Okay. So there we had a lot going on there since this morning. We got a ban on transgenders in the military. We got a freeze on federal funds. And that was just this morning. And then after that, we had a press conference where the press secretary for Trump came out and wanted to quell some of the questions and confusions that people had. So let's take a look at what she had to say about all this in his name.
Yesterday, the White House Office of Management and Budget directed across the board freeze, with some exceptions for individual assistance, we understand, to federal grants. It's caused a lot of confusion around the country among Head Start providers, among providers services to homeless veterans, Medicaid providers, states saying they're having trouble accessing the portal. Could you help us clear up some confusion, give some certainty to folks? And also, is that uncertainty, how does that uncertainty service the president's voters?
Well, I think there's only uncertainty in this room amongst the media. There's no uncertainty in this building. So let me provide the certainty and the clarity that all of you need. This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs from the Trump administration. Individual assistance, that includes, I'm not naming everything that's included, but just to give you a few examples, Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, food stamps, welfare benefits, assistance that is going directly to individuals will not be impacted by this pause. And I want to make that very clear to any Americans who are watching at home who may be a little bit confused about some of the media reporting. This administration, if you are receiving individual assistance from the federal government, you will still continue to receive that. However, it is the responsibility of this president and this administration to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. That is something that President Trump campaigned on. That's why he has launched DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, who is working alongside OMB. And that's why OMB sent out this memo last night, because the president signed an executive order directing OMB to do just this. And the reason for this is to ensure that every penny that is going out the door is not conflicting with the executive orders and actions that this president has taken. So what does this pause mean? It means no more funding for illegal DEI programs. It means no more funding for the Green New scam that has cost American taxpayers tens of billions of dollars. It means no more funding for transgenderism and wokeness across our federal bureaucracy and agencies. No more funding for Green New Deal social engineering policies. Again, people who are receiving individual assistance, you will continue to receive that. And President Trump is looking out for you by issuing this pause because he is being good steward of your taxpayer dollars.
Thanks, Caroline.
Sure.
How long is this pause going to last? And how is the Trump administration recommending that organizations that rely on federal funding make payroll, pay their rent in the meantime?
Okay, before we get into that, I just got to say, I like how she handled that. I really do. I like her attitude. I like her response. And I like the fact that for the people that are struggling at home with food stamps, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security to live, and they immediately got pumped full of social anxiety because of false reporting, they came out and were able to quell that and provide a sense of security for people that are genuinely struggling and need those food stamps and need whatever governmental assistance that they're getting. That's cool. And then also at the same time, let the poverty pimps know who are exploiting the masses, programs that are handing out little baggies full of new crack pipes, heroin needles that are clean, slits, little square slits of aluminum foil, condoms, and other forms of contraceptive, and putting it all in a little baggie, and they're handing it out to people in Tent City, here in the Twin Cities, the Tent Cities, or wherever they are, California, Oregon, and the likes. Such programs most certainly need to be eliminated, as do the transgender surgeries and other things that she mentioned. So far, so good. I see no real issue. Moving on.
It is a temporary pause, and the Office of Management and Budget is reviewing the federal funding that has been going out the door. Again, not for individual assistance, but for all of these other programs that I mentioned. I also spoke with the incoming director of OMB this morning, and he told me to tell all of you that the line to his office is open for other federal government agencies across the board. And if they feel that programs are necessary and in line with the president's agenda, then the Office of Management and Budget will review those policies. I think this is a very responsible measure. Again, the past 4 years, we've seen the Biden administration spend money like drunken sailors. It's a big reason we've had an inflation crisis in this country. And it's incumbent upon this administration to make sure, again, that every penny is being accounted for honestly.
That's the truth. It has been an out of control situation with spending from Joe Biden, and it's actually been pretty sad. And for those like myself who have are W-2 employees, in addition to whatever else you may have going, but if you're getting a W-2, you're feeling the burden of that, and it makes you question, why are you giving away all of this money, for what purpose? And then if you fall into a situation, you get nothing. So your money goes to financing other people in need. But should you come into a situation, you get nothing. You either make too much or too little, or for whatever reason, we just don't qualify in too many cases. Let's see how she finishes this.
Why impose this pause with so little notice? Why not give organizations more time to plan for the fact that they're about to lose, in some cases, really crucial federal funding, at least for a period of time?
There was notice. It was the executive order that the president signed. There's also a freeze on hiring, as you know, a regulatory freeze, and there's also a freeze on foreign aid. And this is, again, incredibly important to ensure that this administration is taking into consideration how hard the American people are working, and their tax dollars actually matter to this administration. You know, just during this pause, DOGE and OMB have actually found that there was $37 million that was about to go out the door to the World Health Organization, which is an organization, as you all know, that President Trump, with the swipe of his pen in that executive order, is no longer wants the United States to be a part of. So that wouldn't be in line with the president's agenda. DOGE and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste of taxpayer money.
So
that's what this pause is focused on, being good stewards of tax.
That is sickening. I can't believe that's even what she said, that $50 million for condoms in Gaza. That is insane. That is insanity. Oh my God. All right. Well, I can't believe she just said that. Like, that's insanity. All right. Well, hey, bravo, right? Bravo. He prevented that from happening. So bravo. That is a great thing. Now, that was just earlier today, this morning, this all played out. And then by the evening, we had an entirely different situation play out, which is a federal judge blocking the freezes. Let's see.
The deadline for Trump's funding freeze was set to take effect at 5 p.m., and it could have impacted several crucial agencies and organizations that rely on government funding.
Fox 9's Sharon Crowley has been following all the developments and joins us now to break down what this all means, Sharon.
Yeah, that's right, Natasha and Bianca. A federal judge has temporarily blocked a Trump administration freeze on federal grants and loans that could total trillions of dollars. U.S. district judge taking action minutes before it was set to go into effect tonight. The administrative stay is has paused the freeze until Monday. Now, the White House had planned to start the pause as they begin a review of all federal spending. The plan sparked confusion and panic among organizations that rely on Washington for their financial lifeline. Administration officials have said federal assistance to individuals would not be affected, including Social Security, Medicare, food stamps, student loans, and scholarships.
This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance.
Okay, so we saw her talk about that already. So they're doing the pause, and then the federal judge turns around and blocks it. I mean, there are people who have an interest in surviving, and their absolute lifeline is based on, eating off these government handouts. That's pretty sick in my opinion, but I don't know. Maybe some of them do have a legitimate purpose in the community. I haven't looked into all of it, but assuming what this woman had to say was true, about 50 million going for condoms in Gaza and another 37 million for condoms in Ghana. No, I'm sorry. And the fact is that the middle class worker in America is funding the world primarily at this point, right? And bravo to Trump for taking America out of WHO as well. That was great. We don't need that. So the man is a little over a week into his presidency, and he's kicking ass and taking names, and that's good to see. There has been a significant overreach of the left, regardless of where you fall. That there's just been a lot that they've done, and financially have been very irresponsible. And if you've ever had to pay actual money into the tax pool, you would like to see some care and respect go towards managing that with some kind of a fiduciary responsibility, right? Some kind of a meaningful, respectful role there in whoever's managing that. So great. I don't really see any issue here. So we'll see how this plays out as far as the judge and the courts. But most certainly, I agree with the block. Do you?